One of our listeners just lost their dog a couple of days ago.
It's
Actually,
hard. I knew somebody needed
heart
to hear
failure.
this. I knew
Yeah,
somebody needed to hear
she
this
did,
because that's what Skittles
or
went
he did.
from.
Yeah.
Heart failure too. I know.
Heart failure.
I know. I know. I know how that feels.
I was no longer afraid of dogs after this particular DMT experience where I saw this wolf and it was beautiful. It's this beautiful wolf. And it was like I was in this white room and this wolf comes along and I hear it panting and I hear it breathing as if it's like got a microphone on it or something. It's like super loud. And I knew it was coming for me because it's coming towards me. It sees me, it's coming towards me, and it lunges at me. And I just kind of open my arms like this because I'm thinking I'm on DMT. This is an experience I'm having. I'm just going to accept whatever is happening right now. And
She was afraid of these little guys here.
when I came back, I was no longer afraid of dogs.
They're gonna bite your tootsies.
I didn't have. Aw, they did bite my tootsie. Aw, they were so sweet. They loved you so much. Yeah, those are your babies. You know, they were our babies, but they were your babies since the time they were babies. So
I do
you're their
miss them.
daddy.
This picture
Yeah.
here, and I've never really shared with anybody. It was more for me.
Aw,
But I made this picture as I was kissing him goodbye
yeah,
on the day that I was taking him to go back to where he came from.
yeah. To cross the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah. And it was devastating because it's the first time I've ever put an animal down myself. And I literally put him down myself. We went out to this mountain and the vet was on the mountain. And I asked him, I asked her, is it okay if I push the injector? And she said, yeah, if you'd like to. So he went out and he had congestive heart failure and he was blowing up from all the fluid in his stomach. And he went out and he chased another dog and he came to me and he just collapsed in my arms. And the vet came and she put the injector inside of him and it had a tube. And she says, whenever you're ready, you can let him go. And I held him and I let him go. And I remember pushing down on it and he just went to sleep.
Yeah.
And it was very peaceful. And I felt really, really, really horrible afterwards. And then we had a guy on and he was an author of a book called The Legacy of Boomer and Beezer. And he put things into perspective for me. And there's somebody in the audience that needs to hear this. I know they do. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to somebody that has an old dog. And he explained it to me very clearly. He said, it's our responsibility to love them, to make sure that they're safe, to make sure they're happy, make sure they're fed, make sure they have a good quality life. When they come to a point to where they have more suffering than they do happiness, it's time to let them go. It's the most compassionate thing that we can do. And it was very selfish of me to keep him as long as I did. I kept him probably 6 months longer than I should have because I should have let him go a lot sooner. But it was a selfish thing to want to hold on to him because he was suffering and I was the one that was unable to let go. I take responsibility for that. I was the one acting selfishly and not in love.
Yeah.
Acting in love would have been to let him go 6 months before.
Yeah.
So if anybody's dealing with that, that was the advice that I got afterwards. And it changed my perspective on it completely. And I realized that if I really loved him as much as I thought I did, I would have let him go 6 months earlier. But I wasn't keeping him out of love. I was keeping him out of selfishness.
Right.
I didn't mean to bring the frequency down. It's a very sad story. But
No,
that was my goodbye kiss to him.
That these things are part of the experience here too. Part of the experience here in the Matrix is letting go of those that we love because we love them. And that's a very, very difficult thing to learn how to do. And many people never learn it. Many people would never have thought of that, Chris. They would never have had that thought. They would have thought in their mind, I'm going to keep him alive as long as possible. And then whenever when he dies, he dies. Or whenever the vet tells me I should put him to sleep, I'll put him to sleep then.
Do you remember the day? Because
I remember that day.
Venus said something in the chat. She said, my dog told me it was time to go. He was suffering. He was getting this fluid in his belly, and I was taking him to the vet every 2 days to get this fluid removed from his belly, and I was trying everything. I remember I was even sticking something in his mouth. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
It was an orange food, a liquid food, and I forcefully stuck it in his mouth, and it was bad. I was so confused at the time. I'm gonna start crying.
It's okay.
But he came up to me and he looked at me. Remember, we were sitting on the steps, and he looked at me, and he said, "Today's the day."
Yeah, I'm ready.
He told me, "Today's the day." And what did I do? I immediately picked him up, and we went out and we bought a chicken, and him and his brother ate the chicken together, like a whole chicken, and they tore it up and did all that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I took him, and as he was driving, we were driving through the mountains, and he knew that it was his last day, and he was absorbing everything. The mountains, he absorbed literally everything. Yeah. And then the vet, did I say dentist? I think it's a dentist.
Yeah.
The vet had a field, and it was a beautiful, beautiful scene with birds and other dogs. There was one other dog there, and nature, and it was beautiful.
It was nice.
It was. A lot of people just drop them off at the vet, and that's it.
That's horrible.
But it was that. But no, I know the feeling. He came to me and he looked at me and he said, "It's time for me to go."
Yeah. He gave what he had left.
I'm gonna start crying now.
I'm sorry.
The thing is, they take a piece of your heart.
Yeah.
And I've realized that they're programmable consciousness. They're not organic. I have no illusion that I'm going to see him when I wake up and he's going to be in another pod and he's going to be like, "Hey, how was your dog?" I have no illusion of that, even though we like to think that. Our little babies here, one that's sitting over here, they're part of the matrix. They're helper programs.
Yeah.
They're not going to cross over with us. But what it is that they're programmable consciousness, and we give them a piece of ourselves, which is why you see so many people, they look like they're animals, because we've literally given them a piece of ourselves, and they help us in different ways. And when they go, they literally, etherically, of course, but they take a piece of us with them. We've given that piece of us to them. And so they get cycled back into the matrix and come back as another programmable consciousness for somebody else to give a piece of them to. And I thought maybe it was like an ascension process. Like consciousness starts as a bug, and then it transforms into something bigger and bigger and bigger until it gets to humans. But then I started to have a better understanding of the matrix. And as romantic as that sounds, the animals are, in my opinion, a part of the matrix. But they play very, very, very important roles. They feed us in some cases, like cows.
Yeah.
They give their life force to sustain ours. They give milk. Fish, for example. They give companionship. They give love. They give healing. Cats are extremely, extremely healing. And sometimes they'll take stuff from you. I really believe that Skittles took... I was having chest problems at the time, and I think he took them from me. And he's like, "This is what I came to do. I came to take this from you so you can continue your path. And I'm taking what was supposed to be for you, I'm taking it onto me, and I'm leaving." And Bastet has sat on you, and she's trying to take what you have, and she's trying to take it on her. and you tell her, I've seen this in the bed. She's like, no, Bastet, I'm not going to do that. No.
Yeah, I don't let her take it.
You're not going to take this from
No,
me.
because I let Skittles take it, and that was the very last of his energy that he had left. He gave to me when I was in the hospital because I had just had emergency surgery. I almost died, and I had surgery, and then it was within 2 or 3 weeks that we had to put him down. And I really feel like he gave the very last of what he had left to me, and he took the rest of the suffering and the pain and the possibility of death away from me and put it on himself, because that's what they do. That's just naturally what they do. They want to do that, and you have to tell them no if you don't want them to, because with Bastet, I know that my cat, when I was 10, she died 5 years later. I mean, she was only 5 when she died of cancer. And I think it was because she was living in a house that, they declutter while I was at school, and I took care of her mostly. And I think she was not supported the way animals should be, and she was also vaccinated. And when they vaccinated her, they've found that most of these dogs and cats that are vaccinated, they develop cancer within 5 years.
Yeah,
most of them do.
There was a little side note, and then Alyssa made a great comment about puppies visiting you in your dreams. But there's one vax that we found called Pure Vax, and it's a rabies and the other vaccine that they're required to have. It's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
And it was Amir from Sanity is Insanity. And he was talking about this vet that was talking about how she was practicing and she was giving these injections to all of these animals. And then she noticed 10 years later with her regular clients, they would all come back with the exact same thing. And she started to realize that it was what they were pumping them up with, and they were having the exact same thing at about 8 to 10 years old. All of her clients, and so she went out she went out and she developed a network of vets that are aware of this. And there was a product called Pure Vax, and it doesn't have any adjuvants. It doesn't have any preservatives. Vets don't use it because you can't store it as long and it's much more expensive. But in my opinion, it's the only one that's safe to give the animals. And unfortunately, the laws that we have is they have to be vaccinated against rabies and things like that. So if you are looking for something like that, look up Pure Vax. And we only did 1 round on our babies here, just 1 round, and that's it. We didn't get the boosters or anything like that, but we got the certificate showing, yes, they've had this. Also, when we did the spaying, I hope we're not talking too much about ourselves, but when we did the spaying, we had the option to go get them spayed for $25, and that's it. And we would drop them off at £1, and they would do the whole process, and they do like 50 of them in a day. But we paid, I think, almost $500 for both of them together, if not more. And we went to a private vet, the same vet that did the Pure Vax, and they let us hold each of them while they were putting them to sleep or putting them, knocking them out. And so we held them, and they came and they gave them the injection. They fell asleep. They took them to the back, and then before they even woke up, they brought them back to us as they were waking up, and we were holding them in our hands, and they were waking up, and they saw us. First thing they did is they saw us. And then they went back a little bit, and we took some of their squeezy treats. They like these little squeezy treats, and hung out in the back for a little bit. And I think the combination of that and just the way that they've been cared for, they trust everybody. They're apprehensive of strangers, which is good, but we take them to the vet. The vets love them. Like, they love them. The vet even said, I wish I can take these two home because I've never seen cats like this. They are so cool. I posted a video on Facebook of Cherie clipping the nails. And I mean, Cherie will just get Bastet's nails and just go, oh, good girl, here you go. Let's get this one done. Let's get this one done. The vets are just blown away. And they've created this trust in us. And I think it goes to show they're not afraid of the vet. They know that when they're sick, they go to the vet to get better. And so yeah, it has to do, again, with the way you program them, because they're programmable consciousness.
Right.
And when you have animals that are really bad, really out of control, I think they were part of bad people. But a lot of people have taken really bad animals, undid that programming, and then programmed them with their own consciousness. And you get a dog or a cat that was completely wild, and then all of a sudden they're the most loving, sweet things in the world. And the rescue dogs are the best.
Yeah.
I had one named Boo Boo, and I used to go, hey, Boo Boo, hey, Boo Boo. And he was half pit, half rot. And when I found him, his leg was dislocated, like cut in half, because it was broken in half. He had a bullet in him, and his jaw was crooked. So his jaw was crooked his entire life. And I think he was either a bait dog or a fighting dog. And I found him, and as soon as I picked him up, he knew. He was like, oh, okay, you're taking me home. He didn't even run from me, nothing at all, period. It was almost like he was waiting for me. And I pick him up, I take him to the vet, and I said, how is he? He goes, well, he's got a bullet in his leg, he's got a broken leg that's completely broken in half, and he's got a broken jaw. And he's like, I don't understand why he is so calm and docile. Like, this makes no sense to me whatsoever, but I went ahead and I did a neutering for you. I'm not charging you for it, because he was already down. He was already
under, yeah.
For the bullet removal and everything like that. And he said, he is the sweetest dog that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just that one instance of just coming to him and just picking him up and taking him in that loving way. And he was the most faithful dog that we've ever had.
Oh.
Even more faithful than these two little shits.
Oh, these two little shits.
They knew I paid for them.
Yeah,
the rescue
they
dogs
acted
are just,
like it.
Yeah. Anyways, I hope I'm not boring people with
I don't think you are.
Furbaby talk.
You know, one of our listeners just lost their dog a couple of days ago.
It's
actually,
hard. I knew somebody needed
heart
to
failure.
hear this. I knew somebody needed to hear
She
this.
did.
Because that's what Skittles went
Or he
from.
did. Yeah.
Heart failure too. I know.
Heart failure.
I know how that feels.
Yeah.
I know where you're at right now. But it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You have to understand that the sadness you're feeling is because a part of you is gone.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to feel sad about for the animal. It's I don't want to say it's a selfish feeling, because it's not selfish, but it is self-centered, because it's a feeling that you're experiencing because you have a loss from yourself. So if that helps in any way to realize that the reason I'm so sad is because something is missing, rather than I feel sad because something bad happened to this animal, it helps the grieving process, and it's healthy to go through that grieving process. It is. And then after you go through the grieving process, then you go, wow, that dog was actually a lot cooler than I remember him to be. And for me, it was very hard to get more animals. And Cherie wanted cats 5 years after Skittles.
Yeah.
After Skittles and Snickers passed. And I was like, no, I'm not going through that again. It was too much. It was too much.
Kitties.
And I've told this story before, but I'll be real brief. I posted it was her birthday, and I posted on Facebook, and I told her, I'll make you a deal. If we can find one long hair black and one short hair black, we're going to name the long hair Sekhmet after the lioness, and we're going to name the short hair Bastet. If we can find those two, we'll get them. And I was thinking we were going to have to find them from different litters, but I posted on Facebook, and somebody said, I got them both for you right here. They're 5 weeks old right now. They'll be ready for you in 2 weeks, or in 3 weeks. No, I think they were 6 weeks. And then a week later, she calls us, and she says, you can come get them now if you want. And I said, are you sure?
Yeah, they were only 7
weeks old. But we brought them home, and the conditions that they were in this little pen and the litter box was filthy.
It was
It was in this
disgusting.
small house, and there was this chihuahua that was just yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping.
Yeah.
And as soon as we picked them up, they didn't even look back.
No.
They were just like, come on, let's go. I've been waiting for you. What the hell
Yep,
are you doing?
they were waiting for us when
Why'd
we
you
got
take
there.
so long?
Mm-hmm.
And we took them. They never looked back.
Yeah.
And we went home, and Cherie had the idea of having toys all over the...
Already there.
Already there all over the bedroom. And we took them and we put them in the bedroom, and they immediately started
loved
running
it.
around the toys. They had this little cat tree, which was only like 1.5 feet tall, but they were so little. They were bouncing on it, crawling on it, doing all this. And then I did a live stream where I'm playing with them early in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And they were just the happiest things in the
Oh, they're
world.
so
The happiest
happy.
things in the world.
They knew they were home right away.
It was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
But it came after going through the grieving process of losing them, and also me having to put my ego to the side of saying, I don't want to go through that again, and having to put that hurt to the side in order to get two new that brought a whole new life.
Yeah.
So when you're ready, another one will come into your sphere.
Mm-hmm.
So just remember that. But it's perfectly healthy, and it's proper to go through the grieving process and put a little bit of space there. Some people will just get another puppy immediately, and that's also fine too. But there's nothing wrong with either way. If you need to grieve.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly how you're feeling.